Good morning, rock stars! I'm so excited to be coming at you on this live Zoom. And if you can't, oh no, there's someone that's not muted. If you can mute yourself, that would be awesome. I want to see, are there any new diamonds on this call, or do you have any new diamonds that didn't make this call? Woo, Katie girl, go ahead and unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and tell us a couple things about yourself. I see you have a new baby.
Hey, yes, I'm Katie Gardner, and this is my 2-week-old, Sam. I'm thrilled to be here. Some I've been working towards for a long time, and some things clicked with my team recently, and just excited to be here.
Did you seriously go diamond as you were having a baby?
It was 1 week after. Diamond by the time he was born was my goal, but I didn't quite make it, but a week later, so I'll take it.
Can we just talk about how awesome that is? Because so many people throw excuses and are burdened by their excuses, where you're just a fierce mom. Welcome to the Diamond Rockstar page. Super cool. Who's your upline?
Rachel Dixon and Carrie Harper.
Yay! So excited to have you here. I can see people dancing. Carrie's dancing. Anyone else? Any new diamonds or any new diamonds in your downline? Speak up. No? Okay, sounds good. I want to just get this started. So real fast in the comments, how many of you have heard of MWF Motivation and downloaded it? If you haven't downloaded it right now, get your phones out, go to the podcast app and download and subscribe to MWF. Look at all these people, Rob. Look at that. Isn't that so cool?
Yeah, it's awesome.
People. It's so crazy. So here's the deal. I started listening to MWF Motivation, starting sharing it with my team. So if you are listening to it, share it with your teams. It is transformational. So not only that, Team Happy and Fit has about 27, I think, people in Rob's mastermind group. And you know, Jenya came at me yesterday and she said, hey, how's the mastermind group? And I said, it's a game changer. I can't explain it. It's Rob's podcast on steroids. There's a crazy momentum building with Team Happy and Fit. I can't even begin to express it. It is just people digging so deep into these limitations that they used to have for themselves and overcoming them. And it's just crazy in our little feed that we have and the Zooms that we do, just this growth of being able to identify these fears that we've had, but actually trump them. And it's because of Rob. He speaks with a whole lot of conviction. He is really into self-help, and he just shares his heart, shares his wisdom, but encourages us so much. So I cannot even begin. Let's see, Jenya or Sarah, are you on? Can you just real fast tell them about the mastermind group and unmute yourself? Anyone on?
Hey guys.
Okay, good.
I was in my laundry room, so I had to step out for just a second. So yeah, I'm in Rob's group, and basically there's a video each day. We get a website that we get to go on, and we get to listen to a whole pool of videos, and I've committed to doing at least one video a day. Sometimes I get to 2, and I just have pages and pages of notes, and it's just really about self-reflection. And what's really great is below each video we comment down below, just like we would do in Rock the Basics, and we finish thoughts and we support each other and we comment back to each other. And I have so many pages of notes, and it covers so many different topics. Everything from like your paradigm to you know, financial goals, how you feel about money, things like that. And we just shared it with our whole team, our team in Team Happy and Fit, and it's definitely making a difference in you know, motivating our team. Because you know, I've kind of realized that motivation doesn't work, but something like this, when people like truly have to look at their self and do self-reflection, that's really what drives people. And I think it's going to have a huge difference on our team. And it's really great because he's opened it up to where people can sign up at any time. Yeah, so I love it. I can't say enough good things about it.
Yes, and I think what we're loving about it is it's not just changing our team's lives, it's changing us too as leaders, because you think you're like, I got this, I'm not quitting, and you already have that, but you are going to go and dig so deep where you're just, whoa, I can't believe those limitations I put on myself. So I just want to get started. So Rob talked to us about our paradigm. So a lot of you were on that. So what he's going to do is talk a little bit about our paradigm, then teach us how to talk to our team about and find their paradigms. And then therefore he's trying to help us be successful. He's seeing that Beachbody is a platform he wants to work with because we love personal development, and that is a vital behavior of us every single day. So without fail and with much enthusiasm and excitement, Rob, go ahead and take it away. Thank you so much for being on this team call.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Can you guys all hear me? So you guys almost had me crying there for a second. So it's the only reason why is because it is great to figure out why you're alive and like really work as hard as you possibly can to do it. So it's I kind of had the realization not too long ago, and then them just speaking and hearing what they've gotten from learning about the paradigm and learning about the group is put me back a couple years to really think as they were speaking about like why I've gotten in this personal growth and why I'm so obsessed with it. So if you guys don't know about my story, the reason why I'm obsessed with personal growth is because I became my own psychologist. So that's kind of the way that I figured it out is that my parents got divorced when I was 9 because my father was an alcoholic, passed away when I was 15. And I had a lot of issues in my head. And I was very self-aware of like, there was a lot of ways that I was holding myself back. And two things happened. Number one, I realized that I was holding myself back in certain ways that I wasn't sure of. And number two, I knew that I had like a lot of greatness inside of me, but it was just like I couldn't bring it out, and I couldn't, and I didn't know how to do it. And so I was like, I need to figure this out. And so I went on it's now been 12 years. So for you guys that have been in personal development for a while and all of these things, it's funny because I have one-on-one coaching clients that are 50, 55 years old, that are older than me, but we all work the same way. Our brains all work the same way. And so I've spent the past 12 years obsessing with how can I bring the greatness out of myself and get myself over all of the boundaries, all of the barriers that I put in front of myself. And in turn, in the past 12 years of learning it, I've also been able to teach it a lot as well. And the thing that really changed my life the most, and the thing that's changed all of my coaching clients the most, is the paradigm. And when I was talking about this, about coming on and doing this, I was like, well, we can go into paradigm and I can re-explain it, because some of you guys I think might have been on that call. Some of you might not have been on the call. But even if you hear it 15, 20 times, 150 times, you start clicking and you start realizing stuff about yourself. And I think that the reason why you guys are all on this call, and the reason why you are where you are, and it's great to talk to people who are already successful in the business, is because of the fact that you know that there's something inside of you that's great. You're not, let me put it this way, you're not normal, right? Like, you know that there's some greatness that you're trying to pull out, but eventually you get to the point, if you haven't gotten to the point, everybody gets to this point where it's like, you're just hitting this glass ceiling and you can't get past it, and you're stuck right here. And you're like, why can't I get past it? And for me, my biggest pride of being, I hate like the word life coach on this stuff, just being a coach with somebody in general, is that I'm able to get them to this point and then go past it, because you don't realize you have to identify what you're hitting before you can get past it. And so with the paradigm, this is absolutely 100% the most important thing I think people will ever learn in their entire life, because it unlocks your potential, but then it unlocks the potential around the people that are around you, because of the fact that you can now talk to them. And the reason why I was excited to jump on this call is because I know that you guys have lots of people under you. And I thought, well, how can I make the biggest impact? Because for me, this whole thing, starting a podcast was not about money. It just happened to be that I turned it into a business. Like, I didn't try to make money off of it for 10 months. And so I just wanted to impact as many people as possible. So I thought, if I can talk to you guys, and you guys have hundreds, if not thousands of people under you, well, then maybe I can try to help you learn it so that you can teach it to people down the road. And what you'll notice is if you really start diving into your own paradigm, number one, you can't teach what you don't have. So you have to go into the deep, dark places and all the places that might be really screwed up in your head. There's a lot of us that have a lot of screwed up parts of our head, but you have to dive into this really deep part and the part that you're afraid to come in contact with. And once you do and you start unlocking all these things, you can then start teaching it to everybody else. And so, so I'm going to turn this so you guys can see my board. You guys, if this is like a tour of Cribs, you guys know MTV Cribs, this is where the magic happens right here. This is the podcasting mic. This is, let me see, I have, can you guys see this right here? Is this backwards? Is it backwards? Yes, no? No, okay, perfect. So since the day I figured this out, I haven't taken it down because it's literally like the most important thing ever. So your paradigm is what we're going to talk about. And for those of you guys that haven't heard of this before, this is the part where you want to start taking notes if you haven't already. So your paradigm is your subconscious belief that you don't even really know exists, right? Once you understand it, your world, I swear to you, your entire world is going to open up and you're going to be like, holy crap, how did I never see this? You guys ever know someone, like one of your friends that's in a really, really bad relationship and you keep saying it and everybody outside of the relationship notices it, but then they don't notice it and they get out of the relationship, they're like, what the heck was I doing all of that time? This is your paradigm. You don't notice it until you're outside of it looking down at yourself. And so this is the subconscious. So most people don't even know this exists. Your belief is your conscious mind, your one thought that you can hold as you're going through. Now, before I tell you these parts, let me tell you the difference between your subconscious and your conscious mind, okay? And this is very important for you to be able to teach other people and to be able to say to them. Your paradigm is your subconscious, your belief is your conscious mind. The difference between, if I were to give you a very quick rundown of the difference between your belief, your conscious mind and your subconscious mind is this. Your conscious mind, the best way I've ever heard it described was in a book called, by Brian Tracy called Maximum Achievement is what it was. It's one of my favorite books ever and most people have never heard of it. And he explains it as this. Your conscious mind, if you were to think of it, would be a golf ball, right? Your subconscious mind would be basically a basketball. And so that's the way you have to think of it. Your conscious mind can only hold one thought at a time. My conscious mind right now, I can't think about anything else in my life. I can't think about, anything that's happening. And because of the fact that I'm literally just concentrating on what I'm going to say next and it's coming out of my mouth. And that's it. That's what your conscious mind and your belief is. Your paradigm is the basketball. It's this huge filing cabinet. Now, here's the deal. Your conscious mind can tell what is true and what is false. Your subconscious mind has no idea what is true and what is false. It stores everything that you say, everything that you think, all of your thoughts and feelings as true. So back in like the 30s, I think it was like 1932. Sounds like someone's in a tornado here. Someone's not muted. So anyways, back in the 1932s, in the 1930s, in the Olympics, the German runners destroyed everybody. And what happened was they realized that they were going out and they were sprinting and they were running the races. But then when they weren't running the races, they actually had them come back, sit in chairs and visualize running the races perfectly over and over and over and over and over again and winning over and over and over again. So not only did they run the races, but they also ran the races hundreds of thousands of times before the next Olympics, watching themselves run it perfectly and winning every single time. And what they found out is that your brain actually, whether you move or not, if you're visualizing yourself running a race, your actual neurotransmitters will fire the exact same way over and over and over and over and over again. Why does this mean anything with what I'm talking about? Because that's your subconscious. That storing it as true is winning over and over and over again. So they had won the race 100,000 times before they actually got to the Olympics. So guess what? They went to the Olympics and what did they do? They win the race because they kept running over and over and over again perfectly in their mind. So let me explain this to you. So your paradigm is your subconscious mind. It's this giant filing cabinet that files everything away. And this is also why your self-talk is so important. And this is why Another reason why I love Beachbody is because it's a lot about empowerment. And I think that the problem with society nowadays with advertising is it's not about empowerment. It's about making you feel as little as possible so that you buy what they want to give you, right? So your self-talk is super important, because if you keep saying to yourself, I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I'm ugly, I'm not smart enough to do this, people don't like me enough to buy this product for me or to sign up with me and all these things, your subconscious is just going to store it as true every single time. And so you're literally, without doing anything but thinking, you're literally just taking the legs out of your success, because your subconscious is storing as true. And then you will take actions that will line up with whatever your subconscious says. That's the most in-depth of this I've gone so far. So that's good. I'm going into this, guys. So your paradigm goes into your belief. Your belief is your conscious thought. Here's the deal. Here's why the paradigm is so important, is because you can believe in your head, I deserve success. I deserve to be successful at Beachbody. I deserve to make 100,000, 200,000, whatever amount of money it is. I deserve it. And you can consciously believe that thought. But if it doesn't line up with your paradigm, nothing will change. And so we have to figure out which paradigm is. So your paradigm goes into, your subconscious thought goes into your belief, your conscious thought. What you believe will go into how much action you actually take. So it'll go into how much action you actually take. And depending on the amount of action you take, we can all agree on this one. This is very obvious. Depending on the amount of action you take, your results will line up with that, right? If you go out and you work 100 hours a week for the next 4 weeks in Beachbody, your action will turn into the biggest results you've ever had, right? Because you just go at it and you say, I don't care what happens. I'm just going to go. People can say no to me as much as they want. And your results are going to line up with your actions. Now, your results feed back into your paradigm. So if you've ever gotten the feeling, you've probably all gotten the feeling, especially like in Beachbody with your first time talking with people or trying to get people on, you guys know that butterfly feeling where it's like the feeling of like, oh crap, like this, I'm really nervous to do this. What that is your conscious being out of alignment with your subconscious, your conscious mind, these things being out of alignment with what your paradigm is. And so the way you want to explain, if you notice the way I always teach, if I could teach you anything, always teach through analogies, because that's how people think. It's easier for them to understand. Easiest analogy that you can use for your paradigm is a thermometer. And so if you set your thermometer at 70 degrees in your house and it goes up to 72 degrees, your air conditioning will automatically, you don't have to do it. This is the important thing. Your air conditioning will automatically kick on and pull it back down to 70 degrees, right? Now, if it goes to 68 degrees, your heat will automatically kick on and it'll pull it back to 70 degrees, okay? So your 70 degrees, your thermometer, where you are right now, is your paradigm is your 70 degrees. That's where you're comfortable. So if you've ever had the situation where you start doing really well, or you start being successful at something, or you start making a lot more money than you were expecting or that you thought that you could, you start being successful and then you somehow self-sabotage. Anybody ever had this happen before? Okay, a lot of heads moving. This is the reason why. It's because the outside world is not lining up with your paradigm. And your paradigm always wants to be true because of this. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, right? And so you know right now, and I so badly didn't want to bring up the election, but the reason why there's a lot of people nervous right now is because we don't know what the hell's about to happen. Whether you agree with it, whether you don't agree with it, people are like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what's going to happen. And the only reason why is because you knew yesterday you were alive and you were safe. Now you're like, oh crap, I don't know what's about to happen, right? That's the feeling right there of uncertainty and not quite sure of what's going to happen in the future. You know, in your paradigm at 70 degrees, you're safe. Why? Because you're breathing right now. So to get a little bit past that might mean extra work. It might mean sleepless nights. It might mean less free time, all of these things. And so your subconscious is going, no, like hit the abort button because we don't know what's going to happen there. Does that make sense? So what happens is you start doing well, you hit the abort button subconsciously, and then you come right back and you're like, wait, what the hell happened? I was doing so well. Why can't I get past? Like, what happened? Like, why did I just completely pull myself back to where I was? This is the reason why. So now this is the reason why the rich get richer and the poor get poor. And I can give you, like she said, in the group coaching, I talk about money. And the reason why is because I had the most scarcity mindset ever, because I remember being a little kid and I remember trying to get on food stamps because of the fact that we didn't have enough food to eat money, enough money to eat food. And my mom had to get a job at a grocery store because we got the food right before it expired. That was the way that we ate. I remember, I remember like times when we didn't have a Christmas tree. And I remember being like 9 years old and going to a women's shelter. And I was very cognizant of the fact that I'm at a women's shelter and I'm getting these because I'm poor. Like I remember specifically the toy that I got, and it was a little remote control car, like a truck. So I had extreme scarcity mindset of like, we never had enough. There's not enough in the world. And I had to overcome that completely in order to be, where I am now today, which is, it's crazy for me to think about. I took myself out of my body the other day and I'm like, holy crap, I'm a guy who has a girlfriend that lives with him in a house that's twice the size of any house I've ever lived in. Like, that's an amazing thing. But then I'm like, how did I do it? What did I do? And I had to take myself out of it in order to teach this money lesson. And this deals with money as much as it deals with just your mind as well. And so for me, it was, I'll give you an example. I used to sell Cutco. I made a lot of money selling Cutco, but I never had any money to show for it. Like, I didn't understand why. And so my paradigm was that I had to work really hard to make money, and money started to come by. So I worked 110 hours a week. So if you guys want to know about like hard work, like I understand it. I worked 110 hours a week. Every single week, I was in my office from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m., Monday through Sunday, literally no life for over 2 years, 110 hours a week, until I completely burnt myself out. Like, I lost a lot of weight. Like, I'm white now, but like I was super white. Like, I had no pigment because I didn't even see the sun. I was in the office at 7 a.m. I left at 11 p.m. And so reason why was because I thought money is hard to come by. I have to work really hard. But I also remember my mom saying money is the root of all evil and all of those types of things. So what happened was I had those beliefs subconsciously, and it went into my conscious mind. And so what happened was I started actually having the action. If you want to know about how to make more money, how to save more money, how to attract more money, all of these things, I'm like the testament to learning it and being obsessed with it. My belief was that it's hard to come by. Root of all evil. If something's evil, you want to do what? Get as far away from it as possible. So what did I do? I spent my money on things I didn't need, right? Like, I just spent my money on things I needed. And I self-sabotaged to the point where I was making, like, when I was 21 years old, I was making $170,000 a year, right? A lot of freaking money for a 21-year-old. But by the time I was 23, what was it, 2010, 24, by the time I was 24, I literally got to the point where I had lost everything, and I was months behind on my car payment. I almost lost my car. All of these different things started happening where it's just like, holy crap, I'm losing everything, even though years before I had made a ton of money. So what happened was my belief was that money was the root of all evil. So then my actions started to dictate it, right? I started to do things subconsciously and speak to my reps in certain ways that maybe I shouldn't have, or push them in ways that they didn't want to be pushed. And that's the one thing, is that the huge light bulb for me as far as managing people and being above people is that the way that you want to be managed is not the same way that everybody wants to be managed, right? I'm like a hardcore go, you can push me as hard as you want. That's like a very small percentage, right? Let me give you a book recommendation. If you can read the book Dream Manager, which you find out everybody on your team's dreams and you drive them through their dreams, that's the way that you get people to where you want. Not by how much money they want to make, whatever they want to do with that. So it's called Dream Manager. I think it's by Matthew Kelly, but I read it a long time ago and it changed my life because I stopped managing people the way that I want to be managed, and I managed them basically through their dreams, what they wanted to get out of their life. So my actions were not good for a while. And what happened is my results became very poor. And then what happened was my results, your paradigm wants your results to line up with them. So your results are going to line up with your paradigm, and you're going to say, see, that's what I was saying. See, money's hard to come by. It's the root of all evil. And so the rich get richer, the poor get poor. Now, how is it switched in my head? Paradigm is this. I could say with complete honesty, there is more money in the world than we need. I have been able to, I don't know how, I just set my intentions of I'm going to meet a lot of billionaires in the next few years. I've been able to meet 5 billionaires in the past, basically 8 months now, I guess. And what I've come to realize by learning their lives, number one, their lives make no sense to us like common folk, right? Like the stuff they do, the things they do, the lifestyle that they have makes no sense. Now, that being said, I went out to dinner with one of the richest guys that's in Texas, and it was just him, myself, his assistant, and my girlfriend, and we were talking, and the way he was talking about stuff made me kind of click of like, oh my gosh, there's way more money in the world than we actually realize. He was talking about, he goes, so you're in like, I guess, self-development, personal development space, right? I was like, yeah, and he goes, there's a lot of money to be made in that industry. And I was like, why do you say that? He goes, well, because I was buying a house, and I was bidding against one other person in Palm Beach. And it's some guy, I've heard of him before. His name's like Anthony Robbins or something like that. And I was like, you were bidding against the house? Like Anthony Robbins, I've seen his videos. I've seen his house, all of this amazing, crazy house for $25 million. And he was going into and building this house. The builder, it was him and Tony Robbins. And he lost the bid because the builder was sitting with Tony Robbins and called up this guy, his name's Rod, called up Rod and said, hey, listen, I have another person with you. And he goes, listen, I know that he's going to outbid me no matter what. So I'm going to give you one price. If it doesn't work out, let him take it. He offered like $24.8 million. Tony Robbins offered $25 million. Tony Robbins got the house. But here's the thing. And this is extremely important. This is the difference between a scarcity mindset and an employee mindset and a capitalism mindset and a abundance mindset, okay? Most people hear he spent $25 million in a house and they think, oh my gosh, do you know how much good could be done with that, right? Some of you admit it, like 90% of you went, you could have spent $25 million. If he's a billionaire, he could have spent $25 million and he could have given it to charity, right? That's used to be my mindset. But you have to realize, if $25 million is spent on a house, do you know how many people got paid from that? There's the builder that got paid for that. There's every single employee that the builder has. There's the person who used to own the land. There's also every single person that works for the person who used to own the land of their company. There's all of the supplies company, the cabinet companies, the tile companies, the pool companies, all of these things. Thousands of people made money because $25 million went from the top and it went to all of these people. So what does that show you? That there's never a lack of money in the world. Because everybody's getting paid. If somebody's a billionaire, here's the thing that you have to realize. Someone's a billionaire and they buy a $25 million house, that money is going to go from their bank account to somebody else's bank account. If they buy anything, it's going to go from their bank account to somebody else's bank account. All you have to do is just every once in a while, put yourself right here and get paid a little bit in certain different ways, right? That's all you have to do. Figure out ways to get paid. This is just capitalism 101. People are going to spend money. So there's never a shortage of money. People that are worth $1 billion, worth does not mean how much money they have in their bank account. Just so you guys know, it could be how much they have in property and all of these things. So people are getting paid all of the time. If you can realize this, you realize, holy crap, there's a lot of money that's being circulated all the time. And I am sitting here thinking there's not enough. It's crazy, right? So here's the deal. I started realizing this. And slowly but surely, my beliefs started changing. I started realizing there's a lot of money out there. My actions started dictating it exactly the same. And I started working hard. I started working smarter as well. Just so you guys know, I understand that you can get sucked into the black hole of Facebook and think that it's working because you guys have to work through Facebook. Do not allow that to be a thing. That's not working harder. That's working, well, I guess that's just not doing anything. You have to work smarter. If you have specific times, what I would do if I were you, if I was a Beachbody coach, I would have specific times that I coached. I would batch everything, just to be honest with you. I'll give you an idea of what I do. I record all of my episodes at one point in time for like the next 3 weeks. if I were you, I would sit down on a Sunday and go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What am I going to post each day? At what time am I going to post it? And you put in your schedule, you do it, and then you get off of Facebook and you do everything else that you need to do to actually bring money into your business, and don't waste time on Facebook. So what happened was I started realizing that oh crap, I have to work hard, but I don't have to work 110 hours a week. I just have to work smart. So what I did was I started working extremely smart, and my results started to change, and I started to make a lot of money. And what happened was it went into my paradigm of, holy crap, like if money is hard to come by and I'm making a lot of money, the only thing that can happen is people always ask, how do you change your paradigm? You have to change your results. That's what you have to do. You have to get results that are better than your paradigm. So an example, if your temperature is set, your thermometer is set at 70 degrees, and you consistently keep getting results that are 72 over and over and over and over and over again, your paradigm has to change. And it's got to go, all right, I'm at 70, 72s coming up. There's so many 72s. All right, 71, right? And it just raises incrementally just a little bit. And then you go, all right, I'm going to push myself even harder. I'm going to work even smarter. 71. And then you start going, all right, I'm getting results at 73, 73, 73, 73. I'm making more money. I'm bringing on more people. And it goes, all right, 72. And it slowly but surely, you start raising your results. And I put a video up yesterday. I'm not saying don't work hard. Work hard. I work extremely hard, but I also work extremely smart as well. And I put up a video yesterday. I had this huge goal at the beginning of the year of how much I wanted one of my businesses to make. And it literally just surpassed, I'll just throw it out to you guys because it's a smaller group, surpassed $10,000 yesterday for the month. And that was one of my goals for just that one. And the only reason why it happened was because I've made, and this is kind of the thing that you have to realize, is that I have made over $100,000 multiple times. And that's not me bragging. That's just me knowing that I'm worth over $100,000. That's it. That's all that it's doing. And so naturally, when I started this new business, let me think, 5 months ago, I started the business 5 months ago. I was doing over $10,000 in sales every month. I know that I deserve to make that money. That money should be mine. It's in somebody else's bank accounts all the time. There's money always going all over the world. So why is it not in my bank account? Why can't I just figure out ways to get it? And so what happened was I was able to naturally get the results that I felt I deserved because my paradigm was lined up with it. I already knew that this business that I have would be a six-figure business. Now I just have to make sure that I work as smart as possible and take the actions that I need to day in and day out to get the results. And guys, I'm not lying. I maybe put 20 hours a week into this business, right? Because I've got other ones that I run as well. So the thing that you have to realize is that you will get the results that your paradigm thinks you should get. So if your paradigm is low and it's bad, you have to literally hijack your belief system and cross out belief and change it with willpower, right? Here's the thing that you're going to realize. For a long time, and you guys have probably been in this situation, right? Here's what happens. You sign on for Beachbody or you sign on for anything. And at the onset, it's so exciting. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be able to replace my income. This is exciting. I get to work out. I get to do all these things. You're like excited about it for a week or two. And then 3 weeks in, you're like, oh, fudge. This is a lot of work, right? And you guys are all like, are at least successful. So you've been through this. It's like, yes, this is awesome. And then you hit a point where you're like, oh crap. And you hit it and you just like take a complete downfall and you have to work yourself back up. How do you work yourself back up? You didn't believe 100%, did you? You can admit where you're like, oh, this thing might not work out. I don't know. What'd you do? You hijacked your belief system and then just started grinding. That's all that you did. So if you're trying to change your paradigm, you have to get results that are better than your paradigm. Consistent results over and over and over again, and then your paradigm has to change. That means that you're not going to believe 100% in yourself or in the system or whatever it is, but you're just going to say, you know what? I'm going to dedicate myself to working really freaking hard for a while because I don't believe, and I'm just going to put the action in. And you guys all know, here's the secret. If you put a lot of action into anything that you do, Beachbody, everything, life, being a mother, father, spouse, whatever it is. If you put a lot of really good action into it, you're going to get really good results, right? And that's what you have to do. And so how do you teach this to your people? Well, basically the way I'm teaching you guys, I guess, is the way you teach it. So, but the way you have to realize is that, listen, this is what I did. You're going to hit a point. And another thing that changed everything for me, Cutco is really, really hard. And as a manager, we used to promote it as being, oh yeah, you know, you can make a lot of money as a college student, all of these things. The more transparent you can be with somebody as you're going through this process of like, hey, listen, I know you're excited about this now, but you're going to hit we used to call them an OSM, an oh shoot moment, but we used to not say shoot. We used to replace the other one, an OSM, which is like, you're so excited and then you hit it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work, right? You're going to hit the OSM. When you hit the OSM, the immediate thing that I need you to do is to call me so that I can help you fix your mindset, because I've already been there before and I want to teach you what happened with me when I was there, right? Like that's the way you manage people or have people under you of like, I'm going to be completely transparent. I'm making good money now. I replaced my income, but it was hard as hell. And when you hit that OSM, call me immediately, because what's happening is your paradigm, you're getting this dissonance between where you think you should be and where you actually are starting to go. And I want to be the one that's there to support you when you hit that OSM moment. And so this is the way that it works. Your paradigm is your subconscious mind, which goes into your belief. Your belief goes into your action goes into results, your results go into your paradigm. And so your belief, to kind of give you guys an idea, go over it again. Your belief has to be hijacked by willpower, because you're not going to believe in yourself for a little while, right? But we can all work hard. And here's the thing. People always say, and people always reach out to me online, Facebook, everything. Like I get a lot of emails, which is like the most amazing thing. Like honestly, the most amazing thing. I get so many freaking emails, and it's like the most fulfilling thing that I've ever felt in my life. But I get so many emails also from Beachbody people, and they're like, Rob, I don't know if you've ever heard of Beachbody before. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard of it. Like I get a lot of people that reach out and they love it. And it's amazing. And I have like 30 people, something like that. Cause there's your team and there's also other people. Probably about 30 Beachbody people that are in the group coaching. And I'm like, yeah, I know what it is. And they say, I know what I need to do, but I just can't motivate myself to do it. Right. I know the steps are there. I just can't motivate myself to do it. How do you find motivation? And I honestly kind of hate the word motivation, which is funny because I run a podcast called MWF Motivation. But motivation is just a woo-wooey word for drive. That's all that it is. You're not trying to find motivation. You're trying to find drive to keep going, right? Nobody needs motivation when things are going really well, but you need motivation or drive when things are not going as well as you want them to. So that being said, how do you get things to go as well as you want them to? Well, I'll give you an example. When I talk about willpower, there's sometimes, I was on a coaching call with one of my clients yesterday, and he said to me, he's like, man, I don't like planning. And I was like, he's like, there's things that I'd rather do. And I was like, I don't like planning either, because I was talking about how I plan my week and how I sit down and set up my goals. And when I set up my goals, I literally learned this not too long ago, where I take my finger and I go over every single goal and I close my eyes and I visualize that goal for a couple minutes every single morning, so that it literally becomes normal in my mind. I'm trying to change my paradigm quicker by making it normal in my head. And so he's like, but I have to do planning and goal setting to be able to get to that point. And he goes, I just don't like doing it. How do you do it? And I said, listen, to be successful or to be anything great in this life, you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do. So what do? I hijack my brain. I don't care if I believe in myself, but I've developed this, I don't know if I'd call it skill. I don't know what it is. I've developed this internal thing where it's like, I will not allow myself to fall behind. So, and I was like, let me give you an example. I'm talking to him and I was like, I have this thing on my mirror. When you walk into my mirror, I can literally show you guys a picture of it. And I go to the gym 5 times a week. And so I write down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 at the beginning of the week. And when I go to the first day, I cross it off, right? Second day, I cross off 4. So I cross off 5, I cross off 4. So I know that I have 3 more days left. And I see it all the time because I drink more water than any human should. So I see that like 100 times a day, right? I drink like 2 gallons of water. So I'm literally in the restroom a lot throughout the day. So I see my goals every single time that I go, multiple times. My girlfriend and I went out of town though. So the past 7 weeks, I've had it up there. I've missed 3 out of the past 7 weeks. 3 workouts out of the past 7 weeks. So that's 3 out of 35. I missed 3 out of 35 workouts. And Sunday, I was really pissed off because we went out of town and I thought to myself, we went out of town. I still could have gone for a run, right? There's no reason why I should have let myself fall behind. Now, most people at that point in time, understand you're not going to always hit your goals, but most people at that point in time would go, you know what? It's okay. I'll make it up and I'll work really hard this week. I got pissed off at myself and I was like, that's not what I stand for. I can hit my goals each week and I can make sure that I go 5 times a week for the next 7 weeks or whatever it is and not miss a day. But I messed up. And so I need to have the willpower to make that up. And so what did I do? I was like, well, daylight savings times happen on Sunday. So what is Saturday or Sunday, whatever day it was. And so I woke up and I went to the gym and I was at the gym at 6:30. What's today? Wednesday? I was at 6:30 on Monday. I was at the gym at 3 o'clock on Monday, 3 p.m. And then my girlfriend sent me a text message and she goes to the same gym that I said, and I do. And she says, I'm going to go to the gym at 6. Can you meet me there? And this is after I'd already showered. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to. So I went to the gym at 6:30. I went to the gym at 3 o'clock and I went to the gym at 6. I went 3 times. It wasn't two a days. It was 3 times that day because I was like, I'm just going to make it up. And I don't want to go to the gym, but I'm going to do things that I don't want to do. Because if I can make my brain do things that I really don't want to do, I can do things that I kind of don't want to do. Like that's easy. So if I continue to keep pushing this paradigm of like, hey, here's 70 degrees and I'm stuck here. Let's see if you guys can see that. Can you see that? I don't know. It's not a good color. Let's try this. If I'm stuck at 70 degrees, I'm going to use like hardcore willpower because belief isn't going to be there. And I'm going to push myself as hard as I possibly can to get past that 70 degrees. So if I want to get in really good shape, my goal is, even though I have 4 torn labrum, 1 in each shoulder, 1 in each hip, which you only have 4 labrum in your body, I don't care. I can fight through it and I can still get in the best shape of my life because my belief is that my body's going to heal itself. And most people's belief would be like, hey, don't do that because you're going to injure yourself. No, I'm not going to. I'm actually doing it. My body is legitimately healing itself, which is crazy, even though I went 3 times in one day. I'm going to put the hardcore willpower in, even if my belief isn't there. And I'm going to put in all of this action, and I'm going to get results that are so freaking good that my paradigm has to change. And so for you guys, what I'm going to tell you is if you can understand this circle and understand how it works, it'll literally change your life. Now, the next question is, well, how do I figure out my paradigm? And this is where you go into all of that was like, cool, Rob. Yeah, like that's fun. Like I'm excited about this. Now it's like, all right, let's get to the point of tears if we have to, which is what's going to happen most likely. That's the way that it should go. Honestly, the first time that I taught this in a group of people, it was about 200 people, about 70% men, 30% women, all sales reps. And, I wasn't expecting everybody to start crying, but it was like floods of uncontrollable tears, right? And the only reason why is because in order to fix your paradigm and really fix everything, you have to go into the dark places sometimes. And so I'll give you, in order to understand your paradigm, I'm going to tell you my paradigm. And then you can try to pull stuff from my story. So I'll tell you this, most people's paradigm is somewhere along the lines, usually, and when I say most, I mean like 95% of people, of I'm not enough, right? All of the people on your team, they have some little thought of I'm not enough. And so here's the way that I think about paradigms, so you guys can kind of see. I love that I moved my board here so I can start using it. This is the best thing ever. Have you guys ever done brain dumps or brain mapping? Brainstorming, whatever you call it. There's like one big paradigm, right? This is one big paradigm. But some people are like, well, yeah, I have these other things, like whatever they might be. So this is This could be not enough. But then there could be all of these other little ones. If you guys remember doing this in school and all of these things that kind of stem out from this I'm not enough, right? I'm not enough could be I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not good enough. People don't like me enough. I have the fear of, a lot of them kind of go into not being enough, like the fear of failure. If you think about it, the fear of failure is also just the thought of I'm not enough to actually be successful, right? The fear of success. How does the fear of success deal with I'm not enough? If you have a fear of success, you're thinking if I get to success, I don't know if I'm actually going to be enough to prove that I deserve to be there, right? A lot of these are just I'm not enough in some sort of way. And what happens is this. It starts as a childhood. There's something called your pre-verbal years. And I'm not going to geek out and tell you guys all this stuff because I could. I read a lot about the brain and child studies and all of these things because it interests me. So 6 years and before is your pre-verbal years. Usually that's where most of everything that you have is set, right? And so not everything, but it's usually the way that it happens. If something happened when you were younger, you might not even remember the situation. But then what happened was it was then reinforced over and over and over again to prove to you that that is true in your brain. So mine was, and the big epiphany for me was that I found out that mine was, I was like, what is my paradigm? My paradigm is that I'm not enough. Why is it that way? Well, because of the fact my father was an alcoholic, and I justified it most likely in my little kid brain of, I'm not enough. My father loves alcohol. This is what I probably thought as a kid. This is definitely what I thought as a kid. My father loves alcohol more than he loves me. And I keep trying and trying and trying to win him over, and I can't. So therefore, I'm not enough to be better than alcohol for my father to love me like I want to be loved, right? And then it was reinforced. I don't know how that started. I don't remember the exact time, but it was reinforced over and over and over again. It was reinforced to the point where like I remember the biggest memory I remember is I remember when I was like 10 years old and I had a baseball game and I used to play at this place, the little community center. And after a baseball game, my father was supposed to pick me up and he didn't pick me up. And I was like 10 years old. I was in the dark and it started pouring down rain. And I remember being stuck as a little kid, literally, like if you can, it feels so depressing just saying it, but if you can imagine a little kid, like just sitting on the steps where normally the bleachers, and you're just sitting in the rain, waiting for your one parent that you want to love you to come pick you up and never comes and picks you up. And then you have to find a payphone. And the only way that I had money to pay for a payphone to call my mom was that I had to get somebody that was on my baseball team drove by with their parents. Their parents saw me sitting in the rain and they gave me money to call my mom because this is before cell phones. And so that is just reinforced of I'm not enough. He can't even pick me up at a baseball game. There's so many stories of like my dad saying he was going to pick me up to go fishing because I lived on a small island and he used to say he was going to come pick me up to go fishing. And then I have all of these stories that I must have blocked out of my head. But my mom says I used to just sit on for hours, I would just sit on the steps of our house with a fishing pole and nobody would show up. And so it's like, it's reinforced over and over and over and over and over again of I'm not enough. But then at the same time, I have to realize that that's just my little kid brain figuring it out, right? That's all that we do. We figure it out. And so for you guys, something's happened, right? And it doesn't have to be terrible. Here's the thing. You could have amazing parents. I know people that have amazing parents, like the best people I've ever met, but they still feel like they're not enough because something happened. I have a really good friend, my best friend in the world. His parents are the two most amazing people I've ever met in my life. They're more in love than anybody I've ever seen in my entire life. But I went to Tony Robbins with my best friend and with his sister, and his sister's one of my best friends as well. And she had this realization of I'm not enough. And the reason why she felt like she wasn't enough was because one time she went to her birthday party. She was 6 years old and she went to her birthday party and it was at the bowling alley. And she just wanted everybody to have a good time, right? And she just was fearful that she's a people pleaser. She wanted everyone to have a good time and to have fun and all these things. And one little kid comes up to her and he said, "Hey, Darlene, I'm bored. I'm going to go home." Right? And right there, it was, I'm not enough to even be entertaining for this person. Right? And it could be something that small, right? And I didn't realize until we went through and made these connections and talked to her, because I was like her accountability partner for this. She's the most indecisive person I've ever met in my life. And I was like, she's indecisive because of this one event that happened. She felt like she cannot make plans that are good, so she doesn't want to disappoint people and show that she's not enough, so she'll just do whatever anybody else is doing because her idea is naturally going to suck, right? And then what happened was she didn't have a birthday for 10 years because she was like, Mom, I don't want a birthday. I don't want a birthday. Finally, her 16th birthday comes up and her mom's like, we're going to have a sweet 16 party. Lo and behold, she has a sweet 16 party, and one person comes up to her and says, hey, I got to go and I'm kind of bored, so I'm just going to go home. And it immediately reinforces it again. And she's like, holy crap, this like, I'm not even good enough to do this. And this is the 2 birthday parties that I remember. But here's the problem. This is how your subconscious works. This is how your paradigm works. She's 20, 27, 28, something like 27. She's 27. She's fun. She's outgoing and all of these things. She's fun to be around. But because her paradigm is that she's not enough, she remembers 2 events of her entire life and forgets everything else, right? And that's what we do as humans. We have so much information coming into our brain at one point in time that we either group everything together, we delete information, or we distort it. Like, that's the one thing you need to realize. We either group everything together, we distort it, or we delete it. So what does she do? Her paradigm is that she's not enough. She doesn't even notice all of the times where she's been, fun, and she's been like the life of the party, and she went out with everybody, and, she doesn't think of that because her blinders are on to the rest of the world. All she can fixate on is the results, right? The 2 times that it happened that line up with the paradigm that she has stuck in her head. So, I didn't mean to make some of you guys cry. I can see some of you guys are crying, but this is the way it works. So, and please don't be scared, because I'm so worried about my girls now. Don't be scared about the fact that you're going to screw up your kids, okay? Because no matter what, everybody comes screwed up. And that's pretty much the way it works, because it could be you, it could be a kid, whatever it is. But your job, if you are a parent, this is the most important thing you'll ever learn, because you can reinforce it and you can make sure that you understand this. Because here's the thing. If you dive into this, I am not kidding you, if you dive into this for yourself and stop being afraid of the dark places and the fears and the worries and all of those things. But if you go, and this is literally how I've learned it so well, is I had to do this. And this is why I can tell you guys these stories about my childhood and not cry anymore, is because I've done it over and over and over again. It doesn't make me sad anymore that my dad didn't pick up my little 9, 10-year-old self and I was sitting in the rain, because I've pushed myself to think about it over and over and over again and go, well, how can I overcome it? Right? How can I overcome that situation? So if you can understand this about yourself, you will actually start to notice people's paradigms, and you'll be like, holy crap, I can completely see this person's paradigm. And you'll start to do it with your teens, where if you really know yourself, once again, guys, you can never give something away that you don't have. So you can't try to teach this until you do it for yourself. That is the most important thing I'm going to tell you. Don't go out and try to teach this today because you're like, I'm going to go, give you guys my notes. No, you have to learn yourself, and then you can go out and teach it. And so if you can actually take time and go, what is my paradigm? Where did it come from? And how has it been reinforced? So those are 3 questions. What is my paradigm? Where did it come from? If you can try to find the source, it's usually your parents. And even if your parents are amazing people, it can be reinforced. And the last one is, so what is my paradigm? Where did it come from, and how has it been reinforced? And what I mean by that is that you've put blinders on to just see what lines up with your paradigm, and you've missed everything else, right? It's like something's right under your nose and you don't even see it. My friend doesn't see all of the times that she's been amazing. She doesn't focus on those results because it doesn't line up with her paradigm. And so if you have, like, one of the things that I teach in my group coaching, I have a video on self-confidence. Your paradigm, you're only going to think about results that line up with your paradigm. So if your paradigm is that you're not enough, you need to take an hour or 2 hours, however long it takes, and you need to take an awesome list is what I call it. And you write down 100 things that show that you're awesome, right? Every little teeny tiny accomplishment that you've ever had. If you got 4th place in a spelling bee in 2nd grade, hell yeah, go you, right? Like write it down, every little accomplishment. And then what you do is when you start having these negative thoughts of I'm not enough, you look back and you go, hold on, look at this list. I'm freaking awesome. Like for a long time, my girlfriend, we've been together we actually just met 3 years ago today. I just found out. We didn't know what the date was that we met, but it was 3 years ago today. And it popped up on my Facebook. It said, oh, you guys are tagged in this place. And I was like, holy crap, that's when it was. For a long time, she thought I was just cocky because I literally think I'm one of the best people in the world, right? Like I think I'm awesome. I think I'm funny as hell, right? I think that I get amazing results. I think that if I put my mind to anything, and it's not that I'm full of myself and cocky, it's that I've pushed myself to realize I am so freaking amazing because I have all of these accomplishments of things that I've done, of things that I've accomplished, of things that times I've succeeded, and all of these little things that are going on in my head where I'm like, yeah, I'm freaking awesome. Like my paradigm of not being enough literally does not exist. It's not there anymore because of the fact that I've realized how amazing I actually am. One of my mentors said that, I'm not going to use the F word the way that he did because I see that there's like kids popping up and stuff like that. But he said, people tell me I'm full of myself. And I said, yes, I'm full of myself because who the F do you think that I should be full of? And that's true. You should be. We're taught to think, don't be full of yourself. Don't do all of these things. Yes, you should be full of yourself. Who should you be full of? Yourself. Nobody. I'm not going to be full of you. Screw that. Like I might not even see you ever again. I'm going to be full of myself because I wake up with myself every single morning, and I will wake up with myself every single morning until the day that I stop breathing. I am 100% full of myself because I focus on all of the things that make me amazing and make me enough so I don't even see this paradigm anymore, right? And sometimes it pops up where I'm like, I get that little, you don't ever completely get rid of your paradigm and fear and all of these things. You can turn it down a lot. And when it comes back of I'm not enough, maybe I worry about whatever it is, like every business that I've ever started and that's going and making me money failing, right? Like that fear is going to pop up every once in a while. I go, no, dude, come on. Think of all of the amazing stuff that you've done. And you guys all have that list. And part of a lot of the Beachbody people that just came in, I keep getting this message from a lot of them. When I say, watch this and make an awesome list, they said it was so easy to make a list of things that I'm not good at and things that I hate about myself, but it was so hard to make a list of things that I've accomplished. And the reason why is because you're not focusing on those. You're focusing on all of the things where you're not enough. You're not focusing on all the times you have been enough. So that was an hour. That's the longest. This is literally the most in-depth I've ever gone on just this. Usually this is part of the talk.
I was thinking that too. Like, I feel like I learned so much. A couple of things that I heard. And if we can do a real quick Q&A, like it's up to you, Rob.
Yeah, I got time.
Of being full of yourself in a good way is fulfillment, and the fear of other people or like people thinking you're cocky. It's just because they're not fulfilled. It's just that mindset of they'll try to tear you down because of the insecurities and lack of fulfillment that they have, that they would look at you as cocky. They would look at you as full of yourself when really you're just your whole self. 1. 2, I experienced, so I've been working on my paradigm since you first talked about it. And I, as a leader, you have to say what people need to hear, not what they want to hear. And I had that situation with someone else in our mastermind group, and they wanted to stop and not show up and quit. And I called them out on it. I said, you committed to this. And they were really irritated. I could tell by a post. And I messaged them and I said, hey, it seems like you're really irritated. I would love to talk to you about it. Anyway, we talked it out, and it was this realization of a paradigm. The reason they reacted the way that they did of being held accountable, and it was the coolest breakthrough. It was hard as a leader, but awesome to be able to recognize someone else's paradigm and help them and encourage them, and to not just be like, okay, like, you just quit, instead of being like, I think it's actually something much more deeper than you being held accountable. So that was a huge breakthrough that I had. And when you have us do the list, the 100 dreams you have for yourself, I'm stuck at 40. I'm not kidding. I thought I'm this big dreamer. I have all these big things to accomplish. I'm stuck at number 40. And I'm like, why do we put those limitations on ourselves? That was a side note. Let's do a Q&A real fast. Open up your lines. You better freaking ask questions because Rob has the answer for you. And if you are interested in the mastermind, message me. I just can't even, this is like a little piece of this. Like, it is so much more. It's crazy. So message me if you're interested. Q&A, go ahead.
Hey, Rob, I'm going to jump in here really quick. That was amazing. Julianne, thanks for bringing Rob to us. I loved this whole thing and agree with it so much. You put a lot of things into words that I feel like I've read, but you put it into great verbiage. And from the very beginning, like, you felt like you had greatness inside you and it's all about figuring it out. Like, I really think that's what coaching is more than anything.
Right.
I'm this paradigm stuff, like being able, like, I'm interested in figuring out my own and then being able to help my team. And you mentioned those 3 questions. What is my paradigm? Where did it come from? How has it been reinforced? Like, is there like an estimate, like, you know, like soul search on this for a day, or like, you know, does it always change as you get deeper? Like, can you give any more guidance there? Like, I feel like I just need a little bit more guidance.
So the easiest question I found that kind of helps you uncover your paradigm is, how do I get in my own way? How, like, go back to times you've self-sabotaged and think, why did I do that? Right? Or think, and I'm just going to give you it's probably, once again, some form of I'm not enough. And the only reason why is because I don't have time to tell you about it, but there's a lot of times as a parent. Here's something I'll tell you. This is also in the book that I recommended, Maximum Achievement by Brian Tracy. The average child is reprimanded 8 times more than they're praised. It's just natural, right? Because you think, I don't have kids. I'm not going to tell you guys how to parent, but I know psychology. You think that when somebody does something, let me just step back. We have a dog, right? If the dog goes and poops on the floor, I could smack its butt, I could put its face in it, and I could put it outside, right? Like, that's the way that I can do it. You can't really do that with a kid, but you can. The difference is you can talk to the kid, right? And so naturally, most of you guys, parenting was not like, there weren't a bunch of parenting and psychology books when you were younger. So we're all kind of screwed up in certain ways because that's just the way it's naturally going to be. Also, you don't need a degree to be a parent. You don't have to pass a course. So naturally, what we think is, if this child does something that they're not supposed to, I should immediately tell them no. And that is true. But the way to also get somebody to do something, if you're I know this with relationships, okay? I also have, 4 nieces and nephews that I've not raised myself, that's for sure. I helped raise because I used to live down the street from my sister. If you want somebody to do something, you can either reprimand them for it, right? Or you can praise them when they do something right. And they will start, everybody wants to please everybody. Your kids want to please you. So naturally what happens is they start to go, oh, my mom loves me, because all your kids are doing is searching for your love. That's it. My mom loves me if I do this. She doesn't love me. It's only love or not love. That's just sadly the way that it. She doesn't love me when I do this. But if you praise more, they're going to do what you want them to do, just exactly the same, because they want you to continue to love them. That's all that matters to them is their brains, that you and that their father and everybody else around them, but mostly just their parents, love them. That's the main thing you have to realize. So you asking me this question, there's a pretty good chance that as a kid you were reprimanded more than you were praised. That's just the natural thing. So naturally in our heads, it keeps being reinforced over and over and over again of, I can't do this right. And so what you do, if you really want to uncover, anytime I get into a conversation, because this is literally like a 45-minute to hour-long conversation where I can sit down with you. And Julianne, you've probably seen this. I have a video of me literally spending 45 minutes with one of my coaching clients, and she gave me permission to do this. What she thought was her paradigm was actually not even close to her paradigm. And we figured it out through a 45-minute conversation, because what I said was, this is how I do it with before I have a one-on-one coaching client, like when I have a brand new one-on-one coaching client, we spend at least an hour to 2 hours of me just finding out about their childhood and the relationship with their father and the relationship with their mother. And that's it. And so the way that you figure it out is you go, well, how is my relationship with my father? how is my relationship with my mother? And whose love, this is one of the key questions, whose love did I crave more when I was a kid? Normally, for most women, it's usually that you crave your father's love. For most men, it's usually that you crave your mother's love. That's just naturally the way it goes. Mine was reverse of that just because of the fact that my father was an alcoholic. So I craved his love, but you crave whoever's love is not giving it to you as much as the other one. So it could be that you guys had a great childhood. You had these great parents and your mother was so loving and she was always there and she was a housewife. But your dad had the old school mindset of, I have to provide for my family. That's the only thing that a husband does or a father does. That's what a lot of men think. They provide. And so sometimes they're just not there as much, right? And it's not that he didn't love you or show you love when he was there, but it could have been the fact that he just wasn't around as much as you wish that he was around, and you could not do something to make him be around more, right? So you have to realize, like, how do I get in my own way? And then it's almost always like I've seen very few situations where it's not found by figuring out your relationship with your father and figuring out your relationship with your mother and ask, whose love did I crave more? How is it not given to me? And you start diving into it. And it's literally like, it's hard because it's, this is a call of 30 people on it. And so I can't tell you all exactly how it is, but this is where I say you literally have to become your own psychologist and figure out what is my paradigm? If it is, maybe it pops up where you're like, oh crap, maybe it is, it's not enough. And it could be something else. You try to figure out where it came from, figure out the source, and then figure out how is it reinforced over and over and over again in your life. So I hope that answers your question. It's a hard thing there's a lot more that goes into it. That's like literally the paradigm. Once I uncovered this and started spending a lot of time, I was like, I have to make videos on this for group coaching. It's like 2 or 3 videos, and then it's literally like a live session of watching me break down somebody's paradigm. And all of the comments on there, holy crap, I just realized something about my relationship with my father that I never even knew just by watching this. So it's different for everybody. Your life was different. All of our lives are different. But I think the source of it comes from most parents just reprimand more than they praise. And somehow in your head as a child, you just think, well, I'm not enough because all I do is I get reprimanded 8 times more than I get praised. So I hope that answers your question in the best way that I can.
It definitely gives me more to think about as I do this. So thank you.
Yeah. And if you guys have ever read the 5 love languages, it looks like a lot of you have. Good. I would think that a lot of you have. If you're in a relationship, or if you want to get in a relationship, you should read it. But the very first chapter, if you guys remember, it talks about how a woman wanted her husband to paint the bathroom. And she kept saying, paint the bathroom, paint the bathroom. They started fights and they yelled at each other and all these things. And she went into her friend that was a psychologist, the guy who's writing the book, and said, I cannot get him to paint the bathroom. All I want him to do is to paint the bathroom. That's all I want him to do. And he's like, well, tell me about what you've done. I've screamed at him. I've yelled at him. We've had fights about it. We've done all these things. And he said, stop screaming and just praise him for things that he does around the house. Does he take out the trash? Does he do the laundry? Does he provide for your family? Praise him for those. And when you say, hey, will you please paint the bathroom? He'll start to paint the bathroom. And lo and behold, she stopped reprimanding him. She started praising him, and he went and painted her bathroom. Same thing with kids. It's all just psychology.
Any other questions? I would say 2 more. Rob, thank you for your time.
Yeah, I got some time. I definitely have time. I have about 20 minutes. So if I have a coaching call. So I'm here for you guys because I know that there's a ripple effect where I'm starting at the top and we need to go down. You guys are now going to force it down, which if you guys have any questions, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
What would you suggest, let's say, just in the scheme of coaching, when you see somebody pull back from maybe their one, maybe they had a big goal when they first started, they were excited, and then you see them start to dive.
Right. What
do you find is the best way to approach that? And then kind of like how to rope them back in? Obviously, there's only so much you can do, but, how do you suggest approaching something like that?
So what they're really doing mostly is just losing their drive, losing the word I hate, motivation, right? And so they're losing their drive for it because what they're thinking is, and this also happens to do a lot with the transparency. And this is why I'm telling you, if from the onset of something, you can tell somebody, this is hard, but this is going to make you a better person, right? This is not easy to do. I've sold knives in people's houses, right? I promoted it as really good. And then I lost a lot of reps because they're like, this sucks. Like going and selling, like I'm 19 years old. I'm trying to sell like knives to a 45-year-old woman and I don't even cook. Like that's a hard thing to do. But if you say from the onset, hey, this is really hard, and you're going to hit moments where you want to quit. If you can get really good sales, I've been in sales for a long time. Sales is this. If you want to be a really good salesperson, you overcome the objection before it ever comes up, not when it comes up. And so if you guys can learn this, like this has nothing to do with paradigm, but if you guys can understand this will make you more successful from the beginning. If you go make a list of why would somebody quit my team, all of the reasons why they quit your team, if you were to make this giant list and go, how can I talk about these from the very beginning so that when it comes up, when you get to this point, the OSM, the oh shoot moment, you can go, hey, remember, I told you it was going to be this way. I'm here for you to help you fight through it. Not they get blindsided by the fact that, holy crap, this is hard. And I just thought that I sat around my house and posted stuff on Facebook and I was going to become rich, right? I know that a lot of people promote it that way. That's just because they think that promoting it that way makes it, they're going to get more people in. But the problem is they will get more people in. Those people aren't going to stick. You guys know that you would rather have quality on your team than quantity, because you can have 200 people that aren't getting anybody on the team, or you could have 10 people that are getting 10 people on the team, right? And so if you can think, what's all of the list of objections that anybody could ever come up with? It's hard. What I don't even know. The shake sucks. Whatever, like whatever they could be. I don't even know what they could be. But if you could figure out what they would all be and go, listen, and Juliana will tell you this, when you get on into my group coaching, the very first thing I do is send you a video of me talking to the camera, and I say, listen, because here's the thing. I read an article, and I have a friend who makes $2 million a year just on courses online. And he found out that 4% of the people, I think it was 4% of the people, actually finish his course. And I was like, I am not putting my blood, sweat, and tears and trying to change people's lives for 4% of the people in my group to only finish it. Like, that's not what I stand for. And so I was like, how can I overcome that? So the video that you get from me when you sign up for group coaching literally says, I know that it's very easy to be passive in this group and to not do anything and to just watch from the outside. But it's also very easy to live passive in your life, and you're not here because you're trying to live passive in your life. So when you get to the point where you want to quit, where this gets too tough for you, you need to realize I've already told you about it, and you need to push through and keep going, because you're not here to live average. And so it's like, I knew that objection would come up where people just aren't going to post in the group sometimes. They don't have to post in the group, but as long as they're watching the videos and they're taking notes and they're doing these things, then they're going to make changes in their life, right? And that's how I get people to stick in my group, is if I can give them information that they can write down and they can use in their life and it can change their life, they will not freaking leave the group. But I have to make sure that I preface it and say, listen, there's going to be some tough times. Like I just told you guys, right? If you guys notice, it's a natural thing now. I always handle the objection before it comes up. My objection that I handled with you guys was, you're going to go to some deep, dark places and there's going to be tears, right? You already know it's about to happen. If I didn't say that, you'd get to the tough part and be like, screw this. This is way too tough. Like, I didn't sign up for this figuring out about my paradigm so I could just ball into my notebook, right? Like I'm handling the objection before it comes up because I'm being transparent with you. It can get tough, but it's the best thing that you'll ever do for yourself. So if I was a Beachbody coach, I would just like have all of the objections, and I would have my script of what I told people and made sure that I just hit every single one of them. That was some sales tips for you guys, and that was not planned. So anybody else? I could do one more.
When is the training? I came on late. What is
No, so group coaching is always going. So if you guys, I'll tell you this, my goal of coming on here actually was not to sell group coaching to anybody. My goal on this is that I want you guys to push the podcast and growth down to your people. So I wanted to try to affect you. But Julianne says she thinks everyone needs it. I agree. I think everyone needs it too. It's just, this is just one of the lessons that I teach in it. So my group coaching is just a private Facebook group where it does it. It's always going all the time. Because it's go at your own pace. There's a lot of videos. There's a lot of lessons. There's Facebook live question and answers. So we do something like this where everybody can send me all of their questions and I can go through every single one of them. and answer their questions. There's the book club. There's a lot of different aspects. There's one-on-one time with me where if somebody wants to like reach out through Facebook Messenger, I can answer their questions or send them a message back. But it's always going. It's like nonstop. It's something that's going to go on forever and ever. And it's just a monthly fee. And I might as well tell you guys, it's normally $119, but the price that I gave Julianne for her people was $87 a month. And $50 of that got donated to charity. So the cool thing about it was she got, at that point in time, 20 of her people to sign up on my group coaching. And the next week I went and wrote a $1,000 check to a charity that I support, which is Heroes for Children. And Heroes for Children, just it's a local charity in Dallas that I'm on the committee of, and they do amazing things for families of children who have cancer. And so if you guys want to sign up for it, I could, Julianne, if you have the link, you can put it up in the bottom if you want. You can do whatever you want to, but yeah, I'll just give you guys the same price.
Message me, and we've been doing a separate Beachbody thing, which has been really cool. So once a week we've been Zooming, and then Rob has hopped on a couple, and then we have a message thread where we push each other every day. It's been really powerful. So we're doing other things with it to make sure that we're getting the best from it for coaching.
Yeah, and I'll give you guys the discount for your people too if you want. So if you want to sign up for it and your people want to sign up for it and all of those things, you guys can all have it. Because honestly, there's a point where you get into your life, and it's a great point, guys. Like, I want you all to be there where it's like money doesn't mean anything to you, and you're really just trying to add value to people's lives, and that's all that I want to do. That's why I hopped on this call, is because I want to help you guys out. And so I'll give you guys the same discount, which is like $32 a month off of it. That should be the link. I think I just found it. You guys want to do it, but if you don't, listen, I'm completely cool. You don't have to sign up for anything. That's not the reason why I'm here.
Yeah, it's so not.
If you can literally just do this. This is all you have to do. Just do this for the rest of your life and just teach it to other people and help the people on your team. Like, I realize that there's a trickle-down effect, and all I want to do is just start unleashing people's potential, because I had my father die when I was 15, and I realized I was going to die one day, and I knew that I was not going to get to the end of my life and not have full potential and waste my life. And I don't want to do that, and I don't want other people to do that. And all I want you guys to do is to take this and teach it to everybody else. That's all I want you to do. Like, just help other people overcome their mindset. And if you want to sign up for group coaching, cool. If you don't, it's completely fine with me. Just please learn this about yourself and teach it to the people that are under you, because that's the only way that this is going to continue to travel. Because most people have heard the word paradigm, but they don't even know what it is or that it exists. So that's my only goal for you guys.
Yay, thank you.